Hi, my name is ReveloGM and I am too warm, so the windows are open. I've turned the fan off for now so you don't have to hear that, but if you hear any traffic rushing by, my apologies. It's warm, I'm sure, if you've been paying any attention to the internet at the moment about the British heatwave, and there's all the memes about how it's so terrible. It is. Houses are not made for this here, so the heat is hot, even if it's not actually, that hot. With that aside, hello, this is where we dive into Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster to figure out the Fae, explain the elemental, and analyse the animal. This is where we meet the monster. This week, we have another bug, the giant centipede. So what are they, what can you do with them, and what makes them different to our other level -1 creature, insect, we already covered, the flash beetle. Let's check what Monster Core says about them first. Most giant centipedes, also known as sewer centipedes when found in cities, makes sense, nest in small groups but hunt alone when they seek out food. Attempts to domesticate giant centipedes for use as guardians or pests generally end poorly, but some communities of goblins, kobolds, and mitflits, those are kind of little gremlin guys, have developed methods that are effective of utilising these vermin as guardians. Other groups roast and eat centipedes, often with pungent peppers as a savoury delicacy, although care must be taken in preparing the meal to avoid tainting the flesh with the creature's venom. That's fun and about what you'd expect. To learn this kind of info, as well as other bits and pieces we will go into below, you'd need to make a recall knowledge check using Animal Nature at DC 13 or Unspecific Law at DC 11, Specific Law at DC 8. So that's the same as for the Flash Beetle so far, and as they are both level -1 and have the animal trait, that's all the same as well. Our first difference comes with the size, as the giant centipede is medium, not small, truly a giant centipede. This is also shown in their speed, as they can move pretty quick as 30 feet per action. That's faster than most characters, and they can climb just as fast too. Definitely a terrifying sight to see one of these coming at you. Well, if you can see them, that is, as these things have dark vision. Flash beetles give off light and therefore can get by mostly with just low light vision, but these underground gelling insects do not have glowing butts, so dark vision is required. They have a +6 perception, which matches the flash beetles as well, and +6 training in acrobatics. But whilst they are trained in athletics, it's only at a +2. I guess they're a little long for being as strong maybe, but they are better being quiet, having a +6 stealth for scuttling around in the dark when hunting. That should be scores as follows: -1 strength, +3 dex, con +1, intelligence -5, wisdom +1, and charisma -4. Animal requires them, the animal trait that is, to have a -4 intelligence or lower, as well as not being able to be trained in intelligence skills. But it's interesting that their charisma is lower. I wonder why that is. The rest of their attributes are pretty close to the flash beetle. Apart from strength, it is a little bit weaker. Then again, it is faster and sneakier, so that more than makes up for it. For defenses, it has an AC of 15. The flash beetle had 16, but was smaller, so sure. And a high fortitude save for +7. Its will, however, and reflex are lower than our giant glowbug, at a +6 and +2 respectively, though it does have slightly more hit points at 8 up from 6 like the flash beetle. For offense, we have no flashbangs here, just one attack, but this shares some traits with our little dino friend, the Compy. The attack is a +6, +1, -4, much worse than the flash beetle, even with the finesse allowing it to use dex for attacks, as it doesn't have any agile or anything, so it's got the full multiple attack penalty. If it does hit, it deals 1d4 -1 damage, quite pitiful, but more importantly, it deals giant centipede venom, which counts as poison. You have to make a saving throw of DC 14 Fortitude, and it lasts for a maximum of 6 rounds. That is maximum duration. Stage 1 is you take 1d4 poison damage for a round. Stage 2, 1d4 poison damage and you're off guard for a round. Stage 3, 1d4 poison damage and clumsy 1 and fatigued for 1 round. A DC 14 save isn't super high, but it's nothing to pass off, especially for classes with lower fortitude saves, which coincidentally are often going to be the classes with less HP. So this could be quite dangerous for a level 1 or 2 party. The poison works as such: if you fail the save, you immediately go to stage 1 and take 1d4 poison damage. Then on the end of your next turn you make the save again. Now this follows 4 degrees of success, with the stage increasing or decreasing as per your result. If you get what would equate to stage 0, the affliction ends, and if you go to stage 3, in which case the highest, it will stay there, as there's no higher stages than 3. The maximum round for this poison is 6 rounds, which means the effects will continue up until that 6th round, and then it will end even if you haven't succeeded enough saves, though that would be rather tragic. That's still dangerous though, for a low level character. 1d4 damage isn't too bad, but off guard, reducing your AC makes it easier for them to hit you and crit you. And not a guarantee, but low fortitude save can lead to having a lower AC class as well. And then clumsy, your movements become clumsy and inexact. Clumsy always increases a value, 1 in this instance, and you take a status penalty equal to the condition value to dexterity based rolls and DCs, including AC, reflex saves, ranged attack rolls, and skill checks using acrobatics, stealth, and thievery. Now off guard gives you a circumstance penalty to AC of -2. This is a status penalty, so that's now -3 to your armor class, yikes. In addition to those other penalties. Fatigued, you're tired and can't spend much energy. You take a -1 penalty to AC and saving throws. This is a status penalty again. And you can't use exploration activities performed while travelling. You recover from fatigue after a full night's rest. Obviously the -1 AC or reflex saves won't be affecting them here when you got clumsy, but it will affect your fortitude saves and will saves, meaning you could get poisoned again easier as well and make it harder to get rid of. And if I understand this right, whilst off guard and clumsy fade with the poison, once you have fatigue, that is it until you rest. And if that's the case, that's pretty dangerous in the long run, as that's a -1 AC and to your saving throws, and not being able to explore at all. It's a much bigger deal. If I have that wrong, please feel free to let me down in the comments below. Okay, so this poison is nothing to scoff at. Well, let's see how our level 1 party deals with them. Also, feel free to skip to here if you don't mind too much about seeing the combat, and if you're still here enjoying this, please subscribe and like the video and ring notifications and all that stuff. Thanks! So our contrived combat starts this time with the party examining a giant footprint, while some giant centipedes all seem to be stalking the same prey. They've all stealthed to sneak up, only Masal is paying attention and clearly not well enough. So we roll initiative for everyone, so that it is done, but the party are not going to get to go until later because they're not presently aware of the presence. So when we get to Ray and Masal, they will get to go because they'll be aware by that point. That's how it is, I think. Anyway, this first giant centipede is able to move in and to attempt to strike. They have climb speed, so they can do all that, and it does get to make one attack, but it was a natural one and completely misses. This one moved out of turn. I don't know why I did it, but it did. It moved in and attacked Masal. It got a hit. These guys are all at disadvantage, of course, because they were unaware of these giant centipedes until now, but does a bit of damage to Magnesium, maximum damage, but fails. She succeeds the fortitude save. Another one moves in and attacks Ren'Yisi for, again, max damage, but it's only 3. Masal succeeds the save, though. This one comes in and attacks Ren'Yisi again, and they're rolling pretty well. That one didn't roll as well, the damage only 1, but she quickly succeeds the save. She's absolutely fine. And then it's going to try and attack Katachuro. No, he's fine. The dog is okay. Everything is fine with the world. Next one is going to move in and try and attack. And you see another natural 1. Second attack, only a 9 and not enough to hit. And then the final one, whoops, yeah, we've already done him. So we can move on to our party now. These two are going to get the turn because they're late in the initiative. And that's just how it is sometimes. Ray gets to make his 10 paces feet as a gunslinger and will open fire with his weapon on this giant centipede. It goes down immediately, though does do a bit of splash damage to his allies because they're a bit close. He's then going to move himself a bit away and reload his gun, his dragon mouth pistol. Next up is Masal. They're going to make a strike. That is a heavy hit, low damage roll, but it's going to hit. They're going to attack the other one with sweep as a modifier. Wasn't needed. Again, same damage, 3 to each. That's unfortunate. Then they're going to raise their shield to try and protect against any more incoming damage and that poison. Exemplar is going to use Command Animal to move his familiar Katachuro away, and then use Caustic Blast, which you can use to catch those two in. They have to make a reflex save, which they both succeed on, but 6 damage means half. They both are down. They both take 3 points of acid damage and die. Now that's the next 3 giant centipedes already dealt with. They did not have a lot of health. And Ren'Yisi is up next. They are going to do what they often do, which is use a courageous anthem. However, they do not boost it this time. It doesn't look like the battle requires that, and that does need a focus point, so they're just going to boost it for 1 round. Obviously no one is off guard anymore because they're where the enemies, and they're then going to cast a daze, as these things are, you know, not mindless, so they can be dazed. This has to make a will save. That is a fail, and it takes 7 damage, which is enough to keep it just about alive, just barely. Ren'Yisi is going to be taking another couple of hits here, and she also fails to save, and so is going to take some poison damage. It's not a lot, thankfully only 1. And this one is going to try and retreat. Masal attempts to get an attack on it with reactive strike, but fails, and he rolls a 13, not enough to hit. This one's able to kind of scamper out of there. potentially even to find another day. This other one realizes the cards are up as well, but still wants to try and get something to eat. So it's going to go over after Ray. Gets a crit, but that's not a lot of damage in this instance with their 1d4 -1 being doubled. Does hit, does do a little bit of poison, but Ray is able to then just retreat and fire it, and yep, that will take that out. Masao and Exemplo do try and chase after this thing to see if they can reach it, see if it has spells in range, but no. One giant centipede lives to fight another day. Well, there we are. A surprise attack and a severe encounter, though it still didn't prove too challenging. This makes sense as these guys have low damage and attack modifiers and not enough AC or HP to make up against that. Some key things to note, however, is that this encounter wasn't in the dark, and if it would have been, the party would have been at a serious disadvantage, even with methods of creating light, as well as if one of these caught a weaker party member by themselves, if they'd strayed from the pack, as it were. They're supposed to be solo hunters after all. However, their real use should likely be in tandem with goblins, mitflits, or similar, where there are other targets for the party to focus on, allowing the giant centipede to get the drop on players and poison them, making them less effective in the wider fight going on. So, how could we mix this up further? To make a stronger variant in Pathfinder is very easy to scale the monsters up, and you could also change out the venom for something a bit more potent, perhaps. What else? Maybe they've been trained to wrap up foes by goblins or mitflits or something, and now they prioritise grappling and grabbing, and are more proficient with athletics, so they now wrap around people's legs and bite them, making them more dangerous. Alternatively, you could make them into mounts for some tiny creatures. Maybe they're a bit armoured, so they're built slower but with higher AC, and they can allow a band of underground fairies to ride around them and climb around the Darklands with ease, allowing them to flank foes with spells or arrows whilst on the ceiling or large caverns or something. You could lean into the solo aspect, the solo hunter aspect further as well. Maybe their chitin is designed to make them blend in with their surroundings and refract light from torches and spells. Don't know if monsters can have sneak attack damage. Don't see why not. This may be a good place to include something like that perhaps. And getting a bit crazier for a second, what if some dark wizard combined an ancient worm with a giant centipede? Now you have this huge winged scaled monstrosity with far too many legs, a much more powerful bite, and maybe it's able to spray the poison now as well. That's really starting to sound like its own creature though, so let's leave it there. And there you have it, that's the giant centipede. A fun level -1 insect, which is clearly another bug, like the flash beetle, but very much has its own thing going on. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back in another 2 weeks or so for the next one. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.